By the end of this video, you will have a plan to become financially free using the easiest real estate strategy ever. Let's get into it. Hey, what's up? It's me, Vina. Today we are talking about financial freedom through real estate. Now, I am 23 years old, and my plan since I left high school was to stop working as soon as possible. And I figured out early on by reading books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Bigger Pockets, listening to mentors like Batch, that one of the easiest ways to not only not work forever, but also build wealth in a very accessible way is through owning real estate. And the strategy I'm about to share with you is so simple. Anyone can do it. This is what I'm implementing myself in my 20s to retire by the time I turn 30. I'm gonna explain the strategy, I'm gonna show you all the numbers, all the breakdown, how to do this, and then we're gonna talk about what it's going to actually do for you long term. So when it comes to buying and investing in real estate, what does this look like? The strategy I'm sharing today is called stacking. This was originally coined by Brandon Turner. It's basically a concept that involves slowly buying real estate over time so that you're stacking your property portfolio in a very easy, accessible, manageable way. And as daunting as it may seem to buy a whole house, especially when you're young, especially in a market that we're in with high interest rates and talks of recession, why does it even make sense to buy a house right now? Because we are taking advantage of what is called the owner-occupied loan. So basically, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which are basically just the real estate gods that give out home loans, created programs for first-time homebuyers to make it easy for us to buy houses. These owner-occupied loans are two types. There's FHA and conventional. They largely do the same thing, but the biggest advantage is that they let you put 3.5% or 5% down on a home. So usually the biggest block in real estate investing is that you need 20% down to buy rental property. What we're doing is instead of putting 20% down to buy rentals, we are putting 3.5% or 5% down on houses that we live in. We're living there for the required amount of time under the loan, and then we're moving out, buying another house, 3.5% or 5% down. Yes, you can do that, and we're repeating the process, stacking properties until we've hit our goal. And all you need to do to start executing this strategy is qualify for the FHA and conventional loans. And the three main things you need to qualify for either of these loans is a 620 credit score. In some cases you can do 580, but they want to see that you can pay this big loan back that they're giving you. You need employment history with your tax return. So if you're traditionally employed under a corporation, like you work at W-2, you need 2 years of employment. There are ways around this. You can use college as employment history. You can use an offer letter from your job you're starting as history. If you're self-employed like me, you need 2 years of tax returns. Credit score, employment history, and then your down payment. Like I said, 3.5% to 5%. So a lot of this is going to depend on your market, how much you're putting down. Here in Seattle, the average price for a starter home is anywhere between $500,000 and $700,000. So $25,000 to $35,000 for your down payment, which is pretty decent when you're buying a $500,000 to $700,000 house. So all you need to qualify is your credit score, your employment. You also want to keep a low debt to income ratio. So the amount of debt you have compared to how much you're making every month, you want to keep less than 50%, and then your down payment. This is really all you need to buy a house in America. So the first thing to plan when you're creating your stacking strategy is to get your affairs in order here. Get qualified for an FHA or conventional loan. That's number one. And number two is to determine your strategy. And this is going to be based on your goals. So if you love your job and you love working and you don't care about cash flowing as much, but your goal is to create wealth through real estate by building equity into properties and compounding that over time and taking advantage of appreciation, then you're not going to think much about cash flow. But I think most of us want to be able to quit our job someday. And so cash flow is very important. My personal goal in my 20s is to create $30,000 a month in cash flow from my real estate portfolio. So if I take $30,000 and I divide it by the average rent in Seattle, which is $3,000, that comes out to 10 doors in Seattle. So I want to make $30,000 a month passive income, rent is $3,000. I need 10 doors producing $3,000 a month in rent to get to that goal. I'm not going to be making $3,000 a month per door. I'm going to be making $3,000 minus the mortgage payment per door. So let's do some math together. What does this actually look like? So let's say we get qualified, we get our credit score up, our employment's up, Fannie and Freddie Mae give us the approval for an FHA or a conventional loan. Now, I am no financial advisor, I'm no lawyer, I'm no tax accountant. I'm just a regular 23-year-old girl whose passion is building wealth through real estate and sharing what I've learned with you. For simplicity of this video, let's say we start with the FHA loan, right? I go get my 620 credit score, I have 2 years of tax returns, I have my 3.5% down payment, I've got money saved for closing costs, I'm ready. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go buy a $500,000 house. Now, depending on your market, depending on where you are in the country, this number is going to be very different. The type of property you buy will also be very different. You can accomplish this strategy with single family or small multifamily. So the cool thing about both FHA and conventional is they will let you put 3.5% or 5% down on not only single family regular homes, but also on 1 to 4 multifamily units. So for example, let's say our first one is a regular single family. We pay $500,000. We're getting a loan from a local lender through Fannie Mae. We're going FHA. We're putting 3.5% down. That's $17,500 down. Now with today's interest rate, I'm going 6.5. That is about $3,400 a month in mortgage payment. So for $17,500 down and $3,400 a month, we just bought a $500,000 house. Now, if you're someone who's been renting for a long time, you are used to having a house payment, and you can afford the monthly payment on a single family home in your area, then just go ahead, move in, and live happy for a year. Now, $3,400 a month is a lot for a house, especially if you're in your 20s, especially if you don't make a ton of money. It's a lot, but we're gonna come back to this. In year one, we just bought a house for $500,000 with an FHA loan. Now, according to FHA, we only need to live here for a year before we can move out and use the FHA loan again. You're gonna have to refinance into a conventional loan. It is not hard. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna refi into our conventional loan, and then in year two, we're gonna go buy another $500,000 house for $17,500 down. If you have more money, you can put more money down to lower your monthly payment. But again, we're gonna have a $3,400 monthly payment. Now we moved out of this house, but we didn't sell it. We're keeping it and we're renting it out, let's say for $3,500. So we're renting this puppy out for $3,500. We still have that $3,400 mortgage payment. It might've changed when we refinanced the conventional, but now this house is paying for itself. That is all that matters here. It's not cash flowing very much, but you now have your first investment property in your portfolio that you only paid $17,500 for. So we moved out, we bought another one with the FHA loan or conventional loan. Again, it really doesn't matter, but like I said, this is our broad stroke strategy, right? So let's continue on. We bought our second house, we're living here for a year until year three when we go and we buy another one. This time we go buy a multifamily like a duplex. Let's say we pay $600,000 for the duplex. Who knows where interest rates will be in a few years? They shouldn't be any higher than they are in 2024. And let's say this time we use a 5% conventional loan. We have two houses already. We've been saving up more money on down payment. We can put down 5% on this $600,000 house. 5% is $30,000 down. The mortgage is gonna be about $4,000 a month. Now what's cool about the duplex, and if this works better for your strategy, then go ahead and buy a duplex year one. The duplex, you can rent out half the unit. Let's say for a $600,000 duplex in Seattle, we could probably get $2,000 a month. That right there is half our payment. So we're living here now for $2,000 a month. That's a lot better than the $3,400 we were paying the first 2 years. So like I say, if this looks better for you, this works with your lifestyle, this works with your goals, go buy a duplex year one. Go buy duplexes every year, buy triplexes every year. The biggest point I wanna make today is that the FHA and conventional loan will let you put low down, and therefore you can go buy real estate really cheap. You can do this every year. Let's go ahead and continue on. Let's say we get a triplex this time, like my thirds drawing. Year four, we buy a triplex. We pay $800,000 for it. Triplexes are not cheap in Seattle. It's a $40,000 down payment and $5,400 a month. But let's continue with these rent rates of $2,000 per unit. We're living in the third unit. We're collecting $4,000 a month in rent, so we're only coming out of pocket $1,400. It's a stimulus check a month. Ironically, with our example, we're actually paying less and less as we go on, but like I said, if this works better for you, go do that year one. If you're someone who's already been paying rent and you're used to it and you want the whole place for yourself and you just want your own house and you can afford the mortgage payment in your area, go buy your own house and live there. If not, go the multifamily route. Go the single family house hack route and rent rooms in your house. Here in Seattle, you can get $1,000 a room. So if you get a 4-bedroom house and you're renting 3 bedrooms for $1,000 each, that's $3,000 in rent. And so you're only paying $400 a month. There are all kinds of ways to hack this strategy, but the most important thing is that you're stacking property year over year. We haven't even gotten to the appreciation part. So again, year 5, let's say we just ball out and buy $1 million fourplex. We put $50,000 down for the $1 million fourplex, and our monthly payment is about $6,800. 3 units of our fourplex are producing $2,000 a month in income for $6,000 total in rent, and so we are only paying $800 to live in our final unit in year 5. Now, is it as easy as it looks? I don't know, this is a lot of writing. This doesn't look that easy, but the answer is yes and no. So yes, this concept is simple, right? We can all grasp the concept of buying a new house every year. And really all you need to do to start on this whole journey is number 1, work on getting qualified for the owner-occupied loans, and number 2, write out your strategy. So what does success here look like to you? Does it look like buying fourplexes every year? Does it look like buying normal houses every year? There are differences between landlording 5 single-family properties versus 5 fourplexes. You might get property managers involved. You want to account for vacancy. If you're counting on rental income, you need reserves saved in case your tenants aren't paying your rent. And then also there are tax implications. You can move into a new house every single year and take advantage of the FHA loan. However, if you ever need to sell these properties in the next 5 to 10 years, there is significant tax advantage on the sale only if you live there a minimum of 2 years. So if you don't see yourself keeping all the properties down the line, then you might want to adjust so that you're buying every 2 years. I use the once a year model because we're assuming we're not selling the properties. Why are we not selling the properties? Real estate appreciates at 10% a year. That means every 10 years, property doubles. So if we just take the property we bought in year 1 and we say this is appreciating value at 10% a year every year, then in year 2, our first house will be worth $550,000. In year 3, it'll be worth $605,000. In year 4, it'll be worth $665,000 roughly. And in year 5, 700 something thousand, like 720. And remember, all these properties are rented out, tenants are paying the mortgages, and so they are just compounding in appreciation every single year, contributing to our wealth. So in year 5, property 1 is worth $720,000. We bought it for $500, not even including the mortgage that's been paid off. That's $220,000 in equity. That is how much you would realize if you sold the house. And this is the amount that's going to your net worth. So that's the gist. That is what stacking property looks like. We're buying a new piece of property every year, taking advantage of the owner-occupied loans that let us put low down. If this doesn't seem like low down to you, then you need to watch my other videos about wholesaling real estate so that you can stack your cash in order to buy property. This is the play for millennials and Gen Z and anybody who wants to build wealth and eventually stop working. Where is the passive income here? Let's look. So on our first house, we rented it out for $3,500. The payment's $3,400. This is really barely cash flowing $100. After fees and vacancies and maintenance, you're really cash flowing $0. Same thing with our second house. If we rent all 4 bedrooms in our 4-bedroom house for $4,000 and the mortgage is $3,400, then this one's cash flowing $600. Our duplex is cash flowing $0 after we rent it out. In theory, every year you can bump up the rent rates. So if we increase rent to $2,100 per unit, then that's $200 we're cash flowing, still low. Our triplex, after we move into our fourplex, will rent for $6,000 total, so that's $600 in passive income after subtracting the mortgage payment. And then for our fourplex, renting the 4th unit, we've got $8,000 total rental income here for net cash flow of $1,200. So really, in this whole example, the fourplex looks like the best deal. So if you had 5 fourplexes cash flowing $1,200 each, that's $6,000 in net cash flow after paying your mortgages. In case I haven't said it enough, this is a very general example. This is very much to just illustrate the concept of stacking and everything it can do between building equity and building cash flow, creating something on the side while you're working your job and building your career and living your life, having a very simple real estate strategy that says, I'm gonna move every year for 5 years until I have my 5 properties that are paying their own mortgages and appreciating over time and giving me tax benefits. This is how you create financial freedom in real estate. So that is all I've got. Obviously, this could be a 3-hour class on the ins and outs and all the little things you need to know. But like I told you at the beginning, this is how you create a plan. And there are so many ways to supercharge this, between the house hacking multifamily, between buying fixers that you live and flip and you add value to, and you create even more equity. There are all kinds of ways to do it. I've got other videos on the channel that explain more in detail the ins and outs. And the beautiful thing about this is you only need a few. In this example, we only have 5 properties. My goal is 10 doors to create $30,000 a month in gross rental income. 10 doors could be 5 duplexes. Granted, they'd have to be really nice, expensive duplexes to get $3,000 a door. But if you've seen my Burning to a Million series, where I buy fixer properties, add value to create equity, and then I take advantage of Seattle's development codes to build units in the backyards of my houses, it's really cool stuff. Gets me really excited. Like I said, I'm 23. I'm very much on track to create $1 million in real estate equity, utilizing the BRRRR strategy and creating the passive income. And I am really not going to be here for much longer after I retire from my properties. So take it from me now. This is the game plan to get rich in real estate. Build your future, be able to do what you want, create the passive income to be able to do what you want. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.